Hi there. In this video, we are going to look at the fast L1 trio, including Solana, SUI, and Mir. For those you're using the Binance chart, as you can see, the Solana chart probably has a glitch. If you look at Coinbase and Kraken, you don't see this wick shooting all the way to almost $189, the orange key level. So that's one caveat over here. Before we start, as usual, I'll cover the Wyckoff stage, potential price trend change, as well as key price levels. These are education content only, not financial advice. Let's start with Solana. Given the glitch over there, let's just focus on where the price is now. It's around $87. So we talk about that Solana is essentially entering or re-entering the accumulation cycle. So last time, when it entered the accumulation, it was May 2022. Okay, 4 years after that, we are kind of close to the same situation. So back then, you see the series of selling, and then when it near over, there is like a long wick, all right, shooting or pushing the candlestick body back to a high level. We are seeing something similar right now. Okay, if the chart pattern happens more or less the same, we're getting close to the point where we're going to see the panic over period soon. But the caveat over here is that if you look at what happened back then, after that happened, after a series of like a short up rally and then sideways, eventually there was a long down leg before the panic over stage arrives. Okay? Not saying it's going to happen exactly the same. I'm trying to tell you the downside risk is still there. So be cautious if you think that Solana is bottoming out. All right? Always assess your risk. If the panic over stage has arrived, what comes after is the stage what we call the automatic rally. Okay, so meaning the price goes up for a short while, and then there will be subsequent tests, maybe going back to retest the panic over level. Okay, check out paper hands, keeping only diamond hands. And there is a sign of strength stage where we see higher than average volume, pushing the price to re-challenge the level that the automatic rally has touched upon. Okay, and then subsequently a few more tests before the price shoot to whether you call that the moon, the Mars, or just another FOMO. That's how it happened back in 2021 as well as 2023-24. Okay, Solana had a pretty good distribution run for 2 full years, from 2024 all the way into the beginning or like end of last year, basically, before it gets to this point that it looks to me it's getting very close to back into the accumulation cycle. Okay, that's the big picture. That's the backdrop. Looking at this, the daily chart, we say, okay, it looks like it's going through a sideways trading period, but there was also higher lows. So assuming if that's an uptrend, then by 21st of March, we'll get an answer whether it is really going to break above the $89 level. Yesterday, not sure what happened with Binance. This thing was a bit interesting. Okay, did someone jump the gun or what actually was it? No idea. But if you go to, let's say, the chart of Coinbase, we don't see that. Okay, we only see something like, slightly trending upwards, but it's like gapping into a triangle. So if we go back to the Binance chart, it's the same. Okay. Assuming this is the case, let's adjust this support line so it capture this better. The date has to change. Okay, it's somewhere around the 22nd. So the tricky part here is if the price really gets so close to the 22nd, it also is going to challenge the ceiling of the downtrend in addition to the red key level $89. So in a week or less, we will be able to see whether the price is really going to go outside of this downtrend, confirming finishing the downtrend that started way back in September, mid-September last year. All right, and eventually, if the price continues to go up to challenge the 101 key level, this line over here, let's change this to yellow. Let's point this to here instead of the red line. Okay, this points to somewhere around April 20th. That's point over here. That's assuming the uptrend continues. All right, if it got rejected when in the next few days, either the red key level breaking below this uptrend line or the ceiling when it gets so close to the 22nd, then that won't happen. All right, instead we have to look at April 5th, because if the price continues to trade sideways and get rejected by the ceiling of the downtrend, eventually it will get cornered. And the only two choices it has is to either break the trend or break to the lower level, breaking the $75 key level and challenge lower level. Not that it hasn't happened before on the safe, even though the price came back up and closed higher. At one point in time, it challenged the $67, $68 level. And if you look to the history of Solana, back in 2023, it was basically below the blue key level of $60. So it's not going to be a big surprise if it really drops to that level, continuing the downtrend. But that's not what we see right now, okay? The uptrend is still there. Until that time that it breaks the support, then this gets back into the picture. So the second one is SUI. So SUI, we say, okay, it's going through the paper hands diamond hands test, and this week it rose by 12.5%. So not too bad as a run. Last week I already said, okay, the base case is range bound between the blue key level and the purple key level, 88 cents to 99 cents. And looking at where it is now, okay, the bears hammered the price back to right at the purple key level. Of course, the numbers that's going to come out from the US is going to drive the next direction forward, even though the market has kind of expected the Fed isn't going to announce something very shocking, okay, given the war situation is kind of well known now. And I guess the black swan that may guess in is the private credit market, how that develops. Okay. I'm thinking whether I've missed anything in the big picture I haven't told you, because you already know sign of strength should come next after a series of tests. So in case your first time with me in these sessions, okay, what happened over here? So typically in the Wyckoff accumulation cycle, we've got this panic sell whales slowly get in period, and then eventually we get to a panic over stage where we'll see an automatic rally. All right. Here, that's the same. We see panic sell, panic over, automatic rally setting the trailing range top, and then the protest comes. This is what we need to see if something we call sign of strength. Best to challenge the 1.82 key level at least. Okay. Even better is to go above the 1.93 blue key level. That's what the automatic rally did. And in order to do that, we need to see sustained volume, better to be higher, or at least average of what happened in the past 2-3 months. Okay, going to challenge those levels. That's the big picture. Daily. A range bound, no surprise, still being suppressed by the purple key level. So it has been around this playground since beginning of February. And after 6 weeks, we are kind of still stuck in this range. All right, the volume isn't deviating that much. It's still around average. If you look back to all the way early February, it's pretty much the same. So base case is still this, just that when the economic data of the US comes in, that may shake this once again. All right, this range upside we talked about in the beginning, right? Around about 12.5%. So that's what it did for this week, for the entire week. Downside from this point, 11.5%. All right, so whether the whales are going to use the news to shoot the price down to retest the blue key level, or are they going to be able to use some positive news to challenge the red key level of 1.08? We'll soon find out in a few days. Okay? Because this is pretty much hitting the ceiling. Yesterday it tested it, but you see that selling over there, right? You can't really draw a line over here because it's not actually touching all the candles. If you draw this line over here, it's basically gapping at this point, meaning a decision has to be made whether it's going to break the purple key level or is it going to break this uptrend support line. But it's not something that's very meaningful because this sideways trend we know is a base case. This is more like, okay, that's the action of the past few days. It's not going to mean much. So that's we. For NIA, big picture, again, 3 consecutive weeks of upward price movement. But when the price tried to break about this yellow dash line about 1.4, that's where the October 10th tariff announcement day tested, it still gets rejected. This week's volume is roughly about a third of last week. Okay, so that means there even less commitment, okay, for both bulls and bears. All right, so we've got 2 pieces of information already. Okay, this resistance line is still in effect. The commitment has dropped. All right, either because of the war or the economic data that's going to come out, or like the Fed announcement that's going to come out. So the test still continuing. Similar to the other 2, or not the other 2, but SUI. Okay, Solana is a different story. So similar to SUI, here is looking forward to see another sign of strength. Not that it hasn't happened in the past, but this is very essential after the test has gone to this deep level around 1.01. That's where the lowest point back in 2023 accumulation cycle was. All right, not the lowest for NIR. Back in 2020, there was even a lower point at the red key level of 0.51. So big picture, looking forward for liquidity to come back and a bunch of white candles pushing the price to re-challenge the purple key level of 3.16. Daily chart. Okay, that uptrend has been broken and turned to resistance. Okay, you clearly see what's happening over here, right? The previous uptrend support after the price dropped below it, it kept challenging it, but never gets back or closes above. And for 2 days in a row, it's still being suppressed. Okay, there were two resistance yesterday. Yeah, the uptrend, the previous uptrend support, as well as this yellow dash line at around 1.399. Okay, so sideways, not going to surprise you, right? A bunch of data coming in. There's actually a lot more. Okay, March, April, continuing. Volume, it has dropped quite significantly back to, I would say slightly higher than average compared to February, but not much higher. So yesterday, this was clear, the rejection with the long weight from the top. Likewise, when the first time it challenged this plot around the beginning of the month on the 3rd. So it basically, the candlesticks are telling us this seems to be a short-term ceiling that's hard to break through as of this moment, unless some crazily good news comes in. While the support is still around the 1.001 key level. So for the next week or so, if the price really comes back to re-challenge the orange key level, we have seen what happened back in February, so it shouldn't surprise you. So that's the case for NIR, and that's for all three fast A1. And if you're interested to get access to these sessions 2 days earlier, join the other members now. There's another analysis for you on the top right-hand corner. Thank you.